Hi everybody. I know that it has been a minute since we posted our last extended video. We've decided to place our focus on YouTube Shorts as we have had to focus the greater part of our time on more pressing affairs, namely surviving this ever-dwindling economy. But we're back and ready to drop our first extended video for 2023. But before we start, there is something we'd like to clarify. It is a fact that the year has changed to 2023, according to the Gregorian calendar. But if you have not had a birthday, according to your zodiac sun sign or moon sign, then you have not officially and astrologically entered the new year of 2023. Together, our sun sign, which represents our personality or physical being, and our moon sign, which represents our character or spiritual being, play the most significant roles in our astrological lives, as they reflect our feelings and actions according to all planetary influences. They are the actual facts that natal charts attempt to predict. Therefore, if you have done your natal chart for the year 2023, and you have not had a birthday, or have done your chart according to January 1st, and that is not your birthday, it was a wasted effort. But together we are going to make the necessary corrections that will allow you to get on your way with your astrological life properly. To begin, it is important to document what your plans are for this Gregorian New Year of 2023, and from what position in the zodiac you have entered it, if you have had a birthday, or will be entering it if you haven't. If you don't have answers to these questions, I have got a good idea and suggestion for you. Starting now, why not resolve, as your New Year's resolution, to take control of your astrological life by increasing your knowledge of how astrology works? And, let me emphasize, I said increase your knowledge of how astrology works, not your knowledge of how astronomy works. After all, when you understand the two, you will realize that you are not only far more interested in astrology, but you will find far more answers to your earthly concerns. To understand why we choose astrology over astronomy, watch our shorts on the subject. Let's get started. To begin, you are going to need a set of workable charts. There is a link to where you can download them below in the description. Or you can watch the video first, and then decide if this system is for you. We are going to start by determining our current sun sign position. This is the house positions we are in for the year, or as of our last birthday. This house, and its representations within, will have the most significant influence on our physical lives for the year, as well as the month, the day, the hour, and the minutes it rules. It can reflect and correspond with actions and events that involve us as they happen, as well as offer hints as to what is behind them. To erase any doubts you might have, we are going to teach you how to easily see this in real time, using some simple instructions in Horary astrology and the Chaldean order of planets. Let's start by determining which houses you are in for the year and month. To do this, find the first house in your life chart and place the year you were born within it. Derek, an example please.
Sure, Henry. Hi, everybody. If you are not charting, just follow along. This is a very simple and easy process. It will have you charting people, places, and things in no time at all. Pause the video to get your bearings, if necessary. First, find your chart. When you find your chart, look for your first house. I'm using Sagittarius chart, so Sagittarius first house is here. Next, enter the year in which you were born in your first house. We're going to say that this Sagittarius was born in 1990. Next, we are going to count in multiples of 12. Each multiple of 12 is equivalent to have completed a cycle of life. So from 1990, our first cycle brings us to the year 2002, and from 2002 to 2014. Now, as this person hasn't lived long enough to complete another cycle, we have to start counting the houses year by year. So from 2014, we count 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 to 2021, 2022, and 2023 to complete. Now, as you well know, we are in the year 2023. But as the Sagittarius has not had a solar or sun sign birthday this Gregorian year, the Sagittarius is still under the yearly influence and inclinations of the year 2022, which means that we cannot officially wish the Sagittarius a personal Happy New Year yet. But I guess a Gregorian Happy New Year is okay. I mean, if you are doing the natal chart or life chart for the Gregorian calendar's birthday. Anyway, more on chart preparations and determinations in the next video. And with that, I'll give it back to Henry.
Thank you, Derek. Now that you know which of the 12 houses you are in for the year, the next thing to do is to determine the key influences of the house you are visiting for the year relative to those in your first house. Which of the house positions are you in for the year, 1st through 12th? What is the influence of the house? In other words, is it friendly, neutral, in opposition, etc.? Which zodiac sign and element are likely to have a significant impact on your life during the year you are in the house? On which day or night is a visible impact most likely to occur? And so on and so forth. These are just a few of the things you should know before attempting to make determinations using a natal chart for several reasons, such as the following. This chart uses a visually enhanced and altered version of the Vedic system of astrology as its foundation. It is a simplified version of your natal chart. It offers you a roadmap of your physical being, or your spiritual being, and every person, place, and thing you will encounter and experience during your lifetime. This chart also allows you the ability to see your positions and movements through life, as well as how and by whom you are being influenced at any given time. As it is readable, it makes astrology easier for you to learn, understand, and make astrological calculations than a natal chart does. And as it is an astrology-based system, when it is combined with Horary astrology and the Chaldean order of planets, it will help you to experience and view more tangible results with a lot less speculation. On the other hand, natal charts operate on an astronomical-based system. In terms of mathematical measurements, they can be used to produce more accurate calculations relative to planetary positions than any system we've used and examined. Still, in relation to making astrological predictions as to what will occur in the lives of people, the natal chart system faces major problems that should not be overlooked by the astrologer or the person charted. It stems from the fact that when preparing someone's natal chart, the time of birth is required. This time must be accurate to the degree, which lasts 4 minutes. Therefore, if the astrologer is off by 1 minute, the natal chart of the individual is useless. For a better understanding of how deep this flaw runs, watch our third extended video, entitled, A Summary of the Astrology Chart Systems. Moving on. When using the life chart system, your goal is to determine how the house you are in, as well as those you are not, have been and will be affecting you, your intentions, and your efforts according to the nature and influences of the house, and its influences relative to your plans or goals. But don't force it. If you have no specific goals, other than your daily routine, you will still be able to make viewable determinations in how the planetary influences are affecting your thoughts, actions, movements, and life, as well as the same of the people and things you innocently encounter and deliberately interact with. You should also be mindful of the fact that specific goals are those you are making an effort to meet or complete. They can be as simple as trying to be somewhere on time, like school, work, a doctor's appointment, or a meeting, or something as major as starting a business, buying a house, making a major investment, or entering an intimate relationship. We are not referring to those goals that you only intend to do one day, but are not making tangible efforts to accomplish. Those are the types of goals that can be classified as dreams, and better categorized under your moon sign. As this is a sun sign life chart, the effects or influences of the houses represent outward experiences, meaning that they are action-oriented in association with the physical body and the 5 physical senses, which are the body parts used to qualify the senses of taste, smell, touch, hearing, and sight. The sun sign life chart can teach you how to see the things mentioned as they occur when connected to Horary astrology. And though Horary means hourly, signifying the hourly observance of planetary movements, in our lessons, we include the day, the hour, and the degree, which is equivalent to a 4-minute period. Knowledge of Horary astrology is essential to understanding planetary actions and interactions according to the time, which allows you the ability to hear and physically observe planetary influences and their reflections in people, places, and things. And we can assure you that you already have knowledge of these things. You have just been overlooking them. For a more in-depth explanation of how Horary astrology works and how to use it, watch our video on the topic, entitled Introduction to Horary Astrology and Combining Charts. And, at the end of this session, we have included the first in a series of true astrology stories. The first story is of a Horary reading Derek E. did on the fly. Moving on, let us share a bit of what we have learned in the area of Synastry astrology. It is our opinion that it is not necessary to know the rising sign of the target of your affection, especially when you have established a connection or relationship with the person. It is far more important to have current knowledge of 6 zodiac signs and how they operate in the areas of relationships and compatibilities. They are both of your sun and moon signs, and the sun and moon signs of the time you met. If you have gotten married, the time of the pronouncement, after the second I do, is the astrological birthday of the marriage, which means that your marriage is an independent entity, having a sun sign, moon sign, rising, and such. This is due to the marriage being the birth of a union and an official agreement or contract on both spiritual and physical levels. The proof of this can be acknowledged by the fact that it is recognized on a yearly basis, just like a birthday, all its own. This is also why timing is important, and you may want to get used to taking the time when you meet someone, because you never know what the future might bring. Though you may not have planned the initial meeting, making it an undetermined meeting, decisions were made on a higher level to bring the initial meeting about. After the initial one, meetings are usually decided by those who have met with a purpose or intention in mind, and is indicative of having established compatibility to some degree, be that platonic or something deeper and more meaningful. What were your sun sign house positions at the time of the initial meeting and successive meetings? What are the house and planetary positions when phoning each other? The conversations will reflect the intentions and planetary influences at the time. And when planets leave and enter successive houses, you will be able to notice the shifts in conversations. These are just a few reasons why we believe that synastry should not be referenced according to natal charts that date back to the time of birth. Instead, synastry charts, references, and determinations should be made according to readings of current time occurrences, meetings, and the nature thereof. And here is something else to consider if you are going to perform a synastry reading. Even if you have gotten the times of birth correct, the newborn, with their initial astrological makeup, as can be seen in the natal chart, can only be likened to a lump of clay that has been passing through zodiac houses throughout life over the years. Each house, with its influences, experiences, and such, has its turn at molding the person into what he or she would become or evolved into as an adult. If you want to use a synastry chart to know whom you are currently dealing with, it would make far more sense to do the chart or have one done as of the person's last birthday. Then learn the personality, character, condition, and viewpoint of the person one-on-one. This way, you will be able to paint a better picture of whom you are dealing with now, relative to current planetary to house positions and such, and how their chart relates to yours. Which of you is in a favorable house, and for how long? Are you in compatible friendly houses, or those that are in opposition? What are the influences of the houses you are both in, etc.? These are all planetary calculations that can help us understand why we feel the way we feel, think the way we think, say what we say, and do what we do. Still, for the most part, planetary influences only incline our decisions. They do not force our decisions, as we have free will. Using the information provided, you can decide if you want to enter into a long-term relationship with the person or not. If you decide to do so, there will be plenty of time to play the psychiatrist, do a natal chart dating back to their birth, and find out how the person became as confused as they are. I mean, if that is your concern. We believe that this is the best and least complicated way to determine compatibility. No third, fourth, or fifth parties involved, who may be in a house that is in opposition with that of the object of your affections, thereby, unintentionally, misleading you to make bad decisions concerning them. Also, I want to let you in on a fact about Synastry that may be unknown to you, as we have never heard it mentioned before. Aside from it being one of the most sought-after types of astrology, its use is not limited to love, compatibility, and intimate relationships with another individual. The principles of Synastry can be used in almost every walk of life. Similar to the principles and teachings laid out in the famous Chinese military exposition known as the Art of War. Only, Synastry is strategically used, in the war of the hearts, or to conquer the love of an individual. Astrological systems are interchangeable for the most part, as they all operate on the numerical system, but are presented differently in name and application. And with that, I will hand things over to Derek E.
Thank you, Henry. Hi, everybody. This is the story of an incident that took place last year while I was driving rideshare. Though I no longer do charts and perform readings for people directly, I often clock the arrivals of people and things for a number of reasons. As my rideshare passengers represent meetings and passing, I like to perform on the fly Horary readings and surprise people from time to time. Now, mind you, I am paraphrasing about this meeting and the conversation, but it is fairly accurate. I was on my way to a rideshare pickup with no intention of reading anyone. I pulled in front of the house of the pickup. It had a long walkway from the house to the street where I was parked. Two girls came out of the house. One was headed toward the car. The other was still at the door fumbling through her handbag. The one at the door called the one headed to the car to come back and locked the door. They passed each other on the walkway, so the one who would have entered the car second entered the car first. This is when I decided to do a Horary reading. When the second girl reached the car, I could see that they were as close as you can get to being identical twins, without being identical twins to me. Now, before I go on, I have to tell you that I classify this as an easy read. When I started driving, I asked them what they knew about astrology. The best they could do was to tell me their sun signs, which were the same, of course. One asked if I knew astrology. I answered in the affirmative. Then I told them that, to an astrologer, there is no such thing as identical twins. The one who got in the car first said that she and her sister were identical twins. I said, it might seem like you are identical, but you were born first. She told me I was right. Then she asked me how I could tell. I told her that I and my planet, which is the sun, were sitting still, while her sister, and their planets were moving, and therefore they and their planets were on the arriving end of the meeting. And this represented their appearances or risings. I told the one questioning, which was the first to enter the car, that her sister entered the car too close behind her for the minutes to have changed more than a degree, if at all. This means that she was born minutes after you, or within the same 60-second time span. And though you were both born in Venus, your rising sign preceded that of your sister, so you had to arrive at the car first, as I saw you both, for the first time at the same time, even though it was from a distance. There was more conversation after, but let us end the story here. This is how Horary astrology and the Chaldean order of planets work in unison. I arrived in Sun's minutes in Venus day and at the end of Sun hour. After the Sun comes the planet Venus in the Chaldean order of planets. The twins arrived in Venus minutes and Venus day in Venus hour. Now you might be wondering, what if the one who went back was the firstborn? My answer is, as the order of time is absolute, and they'd already appeared, and they entered in so tight a sequence, that would not apply or occur. Had the second-born entered first, it would have been in her rising time, and the Chaldean order of planets would have had to complete a revolution of planets for the firstborn twin to appear, and enter after the second-born twin, and in which case, she should arrive in the same planetary time after a new beginning due to the revolution moving the polarity from positive to negative or negative to positive, depending on which day it was, in which case it is also unlikely they would appear as identical. In addition, I have never experienced such an occurrence in the countless times that people with things have appeared. In fact, not long after I started learning Horary astrology and the Chaldean order of planets, one of my fellow students and I tried time after time to force appearances at certain times to achieve certain goals and intention. But the arrivals were always interrupted. You too have already experienced this several times in life, but may not have connected it to the celestial clock. When you start clocking times and arrivals using Horary astrology and the Chaldean order of planets, you will see that everything arrives in its time by zodiac signs, intention, action, conversation, etc. It is one of the most amazing things I have ever experienced. For a more in-depth explanation of how this occurs with us all, watch our second video production entitled How We Are Affected by Astrology and Astronomy Every Day. A link is below. I will also share some more of my true astrology stories in the future. And with that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Derek A.J. Ellison.
And Henry, your AI astrology guide, signing off.